I know last episode of Writing with Me, I said that we were going to solve the problem of vampirism, but truth be told, that is an arc for much later down the line. I would love to get into it, but I haven't developed two very essential things for our world building and for a very central character that's going to be what gets the kids moving across the map. So the kids are summoned and reincarnated in the Enchanted Lands. This is like one of the only things I got done yesterday, which was this map. They start out in the Enchanted Lands right here, and they have to make their way to a much more densely human populated area, which is where a very powerful king lives. He's actually the one that summons them. They are not aware that he summoned them, but Orth, the person that believes that he'll have an idea of what to do with them, is escorting them across to another continent, all the way to essentially the human continent. But we have to get into details of how that happens, and I think a big part of that is developing our character Orth and developing his background with the king that they're going to, because there's actually a lot more that goes into it. The reason why he's across the continent and he's in the kind of fairy enchanted lands. So where do we want to start today? I think we want to start with, there's this ability that I've been really thinking about, and it's called, I think I drafted just a little bit of this, literally 2 o'clock in the morning this morning, Oath of Life and Loyalty. So in this world, there's a lot of meaning to promises that you make, things that you swear to do, or oaths that you make. It's as if the world is listening in and creating almost like an invisible bond, or like let's just say it's almost like a string of mana that creates a magical power between you and that person. So any promises or oaths or things that you swear to do to someone or for someone, there's actually a magical, nearly physical connection that you then make with that person. But then the power of that grows if you use magic and certain ceremony in order to make that happen. So this particular oath is an oath of life and loyalty, and this is for knights who swear their life and loyalty to that of their king. And let's see, an oath one can make to those that desire to serve a master. Upon creating this oath, they may be gifted special abilities, the same which their master has. For example, if there's a very particular ability, or I think it has to reach a certain requirement, or the king has to, it's arbitrary. Let's just, I haven't thought too much about the requirements that it would need, but for example, if the king has a very particular resistance to fire, for example, they can touch fire, they can touch extremely hot things and not be affected by it, then it's something that it's a gift that they can pass on to all their underlings or their servants or people that have sworn an oath of life and loyalty. And I assume that once you've broken that oath, you no longer have that ability. Or maybe the ability will slowly fade away from you, like it doesn't just suddenly break off. And another note about this power is that one of the only ways to break an oath is through marriage, which is an overruling. And I don't know if you necessarily lose your abilities. Maybe you do lose your abilities. I think that's definitely something to think about, but through marriage, your loyalties then lie with that of your partner and no longer to your king. It's like the highest level of loyalty you can have. So the second way in which you could also override or get rid of the oath of life and loyalty, like that tie, is through betrayal. And I think I added a little note, which is at the cost of branding and severance of limb, which you use to betray. It's not going to be so consistent in this world. If anything, I feel like it is going to become folk magic, or magic that's a lot older that people don't really believe in. If you've ever seen The Witcher, maybe it's something like the Child Surprise, or not a Child Surprise, but something of surprise, I forget. But essentially this oath of life and loyalty is that of old folk magic within the world that isn't very tightly grounded into any specific laws. But typically an oath of life and loyalty, if you break this, the cost is being branded as specific burns will show up, or maybe even things that kind of look like tattoos. That's identifiable enough for people to say they are oath breakers. And I would assume that there's like a bit of like magic or mana left within that wound, or even maybe has like cursing aura in it. But either which way, this is something that's going to manifest in my world. And the reason why I'm sharing with you guys this ability of Oath of Life and Loyalty is because Orath, who is escorting the kids, again, this is what he looks like. I'm still developing him. This is him when he was younger. This is him as he got older, say 27. This is 17, 27, maybe 30, 40 is right here. But he swore an oath of life and loyalty to King Septus. He never broke an oath of life and loyalty. He overruled it via marriage. And that's what we're going to have to develop and work on today. But we're going to, I think I need ChatGPT to put this together in a nicer way for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a prompt. Can you help describe this old folk magic ability called an Oath of Life and Loyalty? I'm not sure if they're going to understand everything, but we'll see. Okay, I have been trying to read better for you guys. I have a terrible habit of mumbling when I read, and I was listening to our last video and I felt like a kid in class who was listening to the other kid who was mumbling too much and they were just not being a good reader. So I'm going to read as if I'm reading to you and not just to myself. Let's try this again. Oath of Life and Loyalty. The Oath of Life and Loyalty is an ancient and potent folk magic ritual deeply rooted in the traditions of servitude and allegiance. This mystical pact is forged between a master and those who desire to serve them, binding their fates and bestowing upon the loyal subjects unique abilities akin to those of their master. Creation of the Oath. To establish an oath of life and loyalty, both the master and the oath takers must partake in a ceremonial rite. This ritual often involves a symbolic act, such as the exchange of blood or the sharing of a sacred item, and the recitation of binding incantations that solidify the magical contract. The ceremony culminates in the master bestowing a token or emblem, often a mark or talisman, upon the oath takers, signifying their new bond. Bestowal of abilities. Upon the successful completion of the oath, the loyal subjects are granted special abilities mirroring those of their master. These powers vary widely from enhanced strength and agility to more esoteric talents like telepathy or elemental control, depending on their master's own abilities. This shared power not only reinforces the bond but also enhances the effectiveness and loyalty of the master's followers. Conditions for breaking the oath. The Oath of Life and Loyalty is exceptionally difficult to break, designed to ensure unwavering loyalty and service. However, there are 3 primary conditions under which the oath can be dissolved. Marriage. A marriage can overrule and break the oath, symbolizing the creation of a new primary bond that supersedes the previous allegiance. This act must be consensual and publicly acknowledged to nullify the oath effectively. Death. The death of either the master or the oath taker severs the bond naturally, as the connection between their lives is irrevocably broken. Betrayal. If an oath taker betrays their master, the oath is shattered in a dramatic and punitive manner. The betrayer is marked with a brand that signifies their treachery, and the limb they use to commit the act of betrayal is severed as a form of magical retribution. This serves as both punishment and a deterrent to others who might consider breaking their oath. Life and loyalty is a profound commitment, intertwining the destinies of master and servant. It is a bond that breaks great power and responsibility with dire consequences for those who dare to break it. Okay, I love that. I'm adding that into my obsidian, and I'm going to make a connection between this and Orath. I think bringing this upwards might be a good idea, and let's just add a note. We're actually going to get rid of, we're going to add a connection. And the connection is that Orath has sworn the oath to King Septus. I actually don't like the way that's done. I'm going to add a separate note. I'm going to say Orath has sworn the oath to King Septus, but overruled the oath through marriage. Hi guys, I hope you found this little writing with me session as productive and enjoyable as I did. Since these sessions can get a bit long, I've broken them up into parts, so be sure to check out the next one if you haven't already. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's session. Is there something you'd like to see more of in the future? Should I put more limitations on the oath of life and loyalty? Feel free to drop your comments below. Your feedback really helps me improve these writing sessions for everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming writing sessions. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!